Hello and welcome back to Dawn Chorus Writes. Hi, I'm Dawn and this is a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction, and it started off as a special request for Aisha's birthday and it went from a one-shot to now a 5-parter. So far this is the last one in the series. There might be another one down the road, but I'm not too sure. So this is the last one so far and it's called A Birthday Surprise Part 5. And I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you smash the like button, comment down below what you think of it, what's about to come, and make sure you subscribe, because if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Okay? And I hope you enjoy. Bye. Part 5. Marinette's POV. Marinette had woken early. To be honest with herself, she hadn't really slept. She had kept waking, believing the day before had been a vivid dream, that the day was rewinding on itself. But it hadn't. They had spent the most wonderful day together. So amazing, she didn't know how she was going to top it with a second date. A film, a fort, and hot chocolates? How could that even compare? Tiki, tell me, how can I make this date amazing? Do I build a 2-tier fort? Or take over the room? Or what if I made him a special blanket that he could take home? Wait, haven't I made him one of those already? Marinette darted around the room, her hands flying around and almost hitting her Kwame several times. Marinette, calm down. Adrien is going to spend time with you, not to be impressed by your fort building skills or gifts that you can give him, but you. But what if I'm not enough? By myself, that is. What if I don't talk enough or too much? Or what if he rethinks about being with me? He woke up this morning and had second thoughts. She flapped out a fluffy blanket laying on top of a pile of pillows, with Tiki giggling flying out from underneath. That's just silly, Marinette. Adrien isn't like that. He wouldn't say he was in love with you lightly. Oh, you're right, Tiki. Of course you are. It's just, you know, when you've been dreaming about something for so long, and when it finally does, it strangely doesn't seem real, not yet. She tied off a corner of the overhead blanket to the corner of her mezzanine as her phone buzzed on her desk. Adrien. Hey, love. Looking forward to seeing you soon. And our second date. Need me to bring anything? Kiss, kiss. Marinette giggled, and all the worries she had felt earlier floated out of her. Marinette. Morning, you. I'm setting up the fort at the moment, and the only thing is missing is you. Kiss, kiss. She felt herself blush at her own words. Oh my, how can she send such messages to Adrien? To Adrien? Who would have thought? They had shared a few messages last night, bidding goodnight again, but had crashed earlier because of the lack of sleep the night before. Adrien. Can't wait to see you, to hold you, and see you very soon. Kiss, kiss. A kiss. The image of the kiss she shared with him as they bid goodnight, standing in front of the bakery doorway as the car waited for Adrien to climb back in. It felt like they had lingered in the moment, making the embrace last in her mind and see them through to the following day. Marinette grinned as she raced down the stairs, bursting into song that had been playing inside her head. Now she understood why Disney princesses suddenly broke into song after a love-filled moment with their prince. She collected the snacks she had placed to one side from earlier and some glasses to go with the jug of juice chilling in the fridge. Lastly, she collected the DVDs she had discussed last night and placed them next to the laptop. Adrien. Knock, knock. Kiss, kiss. She bounded down the stairs, creating a thunderous sound, and landed in front of the back door to the bakery. Who's there? She heard him muffle something and then followed by a cough. Your prince? Would that make me your princess? She opened the door and saw him blush and wiggled his eyebrows at her. Possibly, he coughed again. Oh, she hoped he wasn't coming down with anything. He turned and waved at the car to leave and then turned around to greet her. One went right and the other left, ending up kissing each other's cheek and Adrien rubbing the back of his neck. This wasn't a great start. Breathe, it's just nerves. He's excited to be here, right? She guided him up the stairs, stretching out her hand behind her, and a surge of excitement rippled through her as his fingers locked onto hers. She shut the door behind them as they stood in the living room of the flat, alone. I have everything set up in my room, if you want to follow me. Suddenly feeling nervous, she hadn't been alone with Adrien in her room since the gaming tournament, and grateful she had time to tidy up properly instead of darting around the room with Tiki, finding random things she'd missed. He pulled her hand closer to him, with a wide smile on his face. Hey, you. You look beautiful, by the way. He leaned in closer, reaching his other hand to her shoulder, guiding towards her neck. She let out a little chuckle, glancing down at the pink polka-dotted top and the grey pleated skirt with black tights and ankle boots as she mirrored his moves, his lips softly touching hers. I've waited to do that for, he looked at his watch, about the last 14 hours. Now, what was it you wanted to show me? He remarked smoothly, his gaze landing on her rosy cheeks and smiling. I have everything ready for a cozy autumn hideaway, and it just happens to be raining outside, making it perfect. She glanced sideways as he guided up the stairs, hoping he approves. I don't know about you, but being inside when it's raining makes me feel extra protected and cuddle. In closer? He squeezed her hand. I know what you mean. His voice veered off as she pointed to the grand fort she had made with the overhanging canopy, glow-in-the-dark stars, and a mountain of pillows lining the bottom and creating the walls. Wow, Marinette! You should major in fort construction, as this is epic. I was expecting like a V shape, you know what I mean? But this? It's too much, isn't it? I just thought as your first experience it should be special, but have I done too much? I can take it down. Don't you dare! He quickly wrapped an arm around her and pulled her in close. It's amazing! I love it! He glanced from the fort and landed on her eyes. I love you. Thank you for doing this. You're so kind and thoughtful. She felt her cheeks blush at his stare and open adoration for her. I love you too, and I'm pleased you like it. Come here. She pulled him in further into the fort where she set up the laptop and the nest to snuggle in. She had placed loads of LED candles around the space for a warm glow and found the blanket she had made for him, but laid it out rather than present it as a gift. Tiki had been right about that one. Adrien was no longer this ideal that she had to win him over by a mountain of gifts. She had said it herself. It was the thought that counts. We have snacks and drinks, and later we can make hot chocolates, and we can even bake cookies if you like. She lowered herself down and patted to the spot beside her. So, I was thinking, you've got mail? For the first film, it's one I used to watch with my mum. It's a tad old school, but I think you'll love it. I think it sounds good to me. I'm just happy to be here with you. And wow, being inside here? Can we just call this place home and never leave? Adrien lay back, grinning. Marinette placed on the film and then leaned into his outstretched arms, feeling his heart beating faster in his chest, an increase in speed each time she shifted on the spot, telling her she wasn't alone at being nervous, no matter how he acted at being confident. I see what you mean at being old school. With the dial-up internet, imagine. Makes you grateful for our phones, how fast it is now. He let out a warm chuckle. Wow, Already it reminds me of when we were in New York. We danced. I'm sorry I had to leave. How much I wanted to stay and be with you. I wanted to tell you then. She leaned her head off his chest a fraction and stared up at him, a hand sliding from his chest to his neck. I know what you mean. The difference between then and now. How flustered I had been. I wanted to be next to you, but my feelings for you. I thought then that you and Luca were. He glanced downwards and towards the screen. But weren't you with Kagami? Let's just say at that point, I was confused. All I knew was really I wanted to spend my time with you. He laughed. What a difference a year can make. I know in my heart and my soul who I love. It's funny, for me, it's always been you. Even compared to other traces, it was you. She leaned up and kissed him on the cheek before he turned his head and gently kissed her lips. It's funny how they are talking to one another and not knowing who the other person is, how they're passing each other on the street and not know it's them. Could you imagine something like that? Remarked Adrien, keeping his focus on the screen and not at Marinette, who was glancing up at him. The only thing that comes to mind would be Chat Noir and Ladybug. I mean, they don't know who each other is, do they? But it makes you think. If really they do, but they don't really know it, like they've been friends or underneath the noses all this time. Adrien ran his hand behind her back as she wrapped hers around his waist. Do you really think so? Don't you think if they spend that much time together, they would see the signs? I think it's hard to tell, really. I mean, these two, I think they have feelings that it could be this person, but how do they know? Does one of them say something and see? Or do they keep it to themselves and hope the other person figures it out? Yeah, but for these characters, what at stake is the business, their hearts. But if you use Ladybug and Chat as an example, the stakes are bigger. Nothing is bigger than your heart. He used a soft tone, his fingers causing the skin on her arm to create goosebumps as it tickled up and down. For Ladybug, she has the whole entire world on her shoulders. I mean, I would guess. She lowered her voice. Was he? No, he can't be. How would he? But that's the point of saving the world. If there's no love, I mean, now that I know what it truly feels like, I couldn't imagine being without it. He pulled her in closer against him and sighed. She paused for a moment, contemplating his words, making shapes across his shirt as she ran her fingers across his chest. I think she wants it to be him, but I think she's scared to admit it and the consequences it could have. On her business, I mean? Marinette quickly gestured to the screen. Oh, look, he's figured it out. He knows. Do you think he'll tell her or keep it to himself? There's a lightness to his voice. A burst of butterflies surged inside of her. It wasn't this simple, was it? Were they really still talking about the film, or was he implying? I think he knows. It's not that simple, and wait for the right time. Wait for when she is ready to know or admit it to herself. Yeah, I can see how that would be the best way forward. But now he knows. She dared to gaze up at him and saw a twinkle in his eyes that confirmed something inside of her. You can't always act on impulse. But I think it's clever how he's giving her small hints along the way, warming her up to the idea. I think saying it out loud might be a little too scary to hear straight away. After a few minutes had passed, "Do you have another blanket?" He glanced around the room and pointed towards one folded on the other side. "Would you mind?" She reached over and grabbed it. It had been the one she had knitted for him. "Oh, I love it. It's so soft." He wrapped it around them both. "Perfect. You're snug as a bug in a little rug. Something my mama used to say." "That's funny." "I was gonna say, you look cozy as a pussycat," she remarked casually. "It's funny you should say that, as there's a trick I can do." He nuzzled his head against hers and purred. "Wow, you really are my kitty, aren't you? And you're my princess, my lady, and my love." I love the fact that we have time to figure it all out and what it means. There's no rush. After all, it's just me and you against the world, and nothing means more to me than my love for you, my kitty. They wrapped their arms around each other, knowing nothing could part them now. Thank you for listening to part 5 of A Birthday Surprise. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below what you think of it and what you thought of the ending. And there could be a part 6 down the line, but I'm not too sure just yet. So you'll just have to wait and see. Make sure you press the notification button just in case, and subscribe if you haven't already. There's plenty more videos as well to keep you posted in the meantime. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.